Okay, this is People of the State of Michigan versus Sage Andrus, docket number 21-177FH. This is the time set for sentencing. Mr. Andrus, you were convicted of possession of methamphetamine. That is a felony punishable by up to 10 years in prison, and carrying a concealed weapon. That is a felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison. And can you just confirm for me that you do consent to doing this sentencing remotely?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Thank you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. You are represented by Ms. Vinsky. And Ms. Vinsky, have you had a chance to go through the pre-sentence report with your client?
Yes, we have, Your Honor. There is only one correction that needs to be made on the evaluation and plan document, page 6, under mental health. Mr. Andrus is also being treated for anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder, and those have been in counseling since 2011, and he's not taking medication for those at this time.
Okay, I added those two conditions. And did you have any objection to the scoring of the guidelines?
There is no objection.
Did the people have any corrections to the report or objections to scoring?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Did the people wish to be heard?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, Ms. Vinsky.
Thank you, Your Honor. A lot of Mr. Andrus's childhood is outlined in the sentencing memo, but one thing I really wanted to address today was the passing of his mother. And Mr. Andrus experienced this tragedy at an age where most kids are going through puberty. They're already dealing with a lot of change and difficulty, whether it's in school, not knowing who they are. And then to add this event on top of all of the things that a normal 13-year-old is going through, Mr. Andrus readily admits that this event essentially broke him, and it really did shape his life going forward in a way that he had a negative outlook on life. He didn't trust anybody. He lost his number one supporter and the person that had always been there for him. And this apathy, I would say, towards life was now another hurdle that Mr. Andrus had to overcome and still faces to this day. And since I've been representing him, he's made various comments about how this offense may have been the best thing to happen to him at that time. And I personally don't think anybody can consider facing multiple felonies to be a great thing. But what it did was it opened up Mr. Andrus's eyes to a glimpse of his future. And it showed him what his life could look like if he was headed down the path that he was on. And it was essentially a wake-up call and something that needed to happen so that myself or this court never have to see Mr. Andrus again. So going forward, he is only 22 and he has a lot of potential. The room for improvement is large. And while he's still working through a lot of things related to the death of his mother and other personal issues that he's facing, he knows that this is a work in progress. And the key is that he is beginning to do the work to put himself in a better place. And stating a commitment to change is just words, but the best evidence of Mr. Andrus's commitment to making better choices is his conduct while he's been on bond. Since the offense, he has been committed to not using drugs and following all of the bond conditions to a T. He has contacted me multiple times, asking me questions about checking in with pretrial services when he was unsure about something because he said he'd rather be safe than sorry. And I agree. He's showing that he does not want to break any condition. He wants to follow everything that the court has ordered. And we are fortunate that there were no injuries in this case, but it has resonated with Mr. Andrus that his actions could have grave consequences and can in fact impact people in ways that he didn't even think about when he was engaging in this conduct. So shown in the letter of support from his therapist, Mr. Gamber is beginning to add substance abuse treatment into his plan for Mr. Andrus. So we would ask the court to follow the recommendation of the probation officer by allowing Mr. Andrus to continue seeing his current therapist. They've been seeing each other since Mr. Andrus was 6. So I don't think there's a need to disrupt this representation, and he can continue to address his mental health and substance abuse concerns. So to sum, I would just ask the court to take into account everything I said today, everything Mr. Andrus says, in what is written in the sentencing memo when sentencing him today. And we would ask for a sentence of 12 months probation to give him time to prove himself not only to this court, but to himself to show that he can make a change. Thank you.
Thank you. And now your turn, Mr. Andrus. Was there anything you wanted to say?
First, I want to start out with, she is right that I am, as weird as it is to say, kind of grateful that it happened, because I mean, I could see myself kind of going down that path and I didn't know how to really get off of it. And this is definitely a good way to do that, that's for sure. But I mean, throughout this next year, I really want to start doing like graphic designing and start trying to branch out. Like my end goal is to be at a point where I can actually own my own business, be my own boss, and live a good life. You know, I want to go see the world. I want to have the money so I can have a home, start a family, and live the American dream.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Well, you know, your attorney made the comment that this showed you what your life could look like if you had gone down that path. But what I like to hear from you, and you've done so well, is to talk about what your life could look like on the other path. And that's the path we would all love to see you go down. You have a lot of talent. It sounds like graphic design is your thing. And I think that's a really great area to get into. So I hope you'll really aggressively pursue that. But you have a lot of positives. I really got a lot out of the sentencing memorandum that your attorney filed. It really gave me a picture of what your life has been like. And I'm truly sorry for the things you've suffered through, Mr. Andrus. But what they've really shown too is that you're a very strong person who can cope with a lot. Now, you didn't always cope in a positive way, as we've seen, which is why you're here. But you know, you're a survivor, you've done it, and you can continue to do it. And hopefully probation will keep you headed in the right direction along with your therapy, which I'm very supportive of. And make sure that not only do you have that vision for what your life could look like, but that you can achieve it as well. So I will grant your petition for treatment under the Homes Youthful Trainee Act. And, you know, I have to say too, I have a lot of people who tell me that the felony was the best thing that ever happened to them. So you are not alone in that. The YTA is just the perfect thing for you because we have the wake up call that the 2 felonies in your case did, but then, you know, do everything right on probation and you won't have that hanging over your head. You won't have the felony conviction. So I'm very hopeful for you on that. So I'll grant the petition for YTA treatment and place you on probation for 18 months, 2 days in jail with credit for 2 days served. You have to pay $130 to the Crime Victims Fund, $136 in state costs. I'm waiving oversight fees and waiving additional costs. Additional conditions of probation are you may not use or possess alcoholic beverages or controlled substances. You may not use marijuana recreationally or use it in violation of the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act. You must submit to both drug and alcohol testing at the direction of your agent. You must complete any outpatient or residential substance abuse treatment that you are referred to. You must complete your mental health counseling with the therapist that you are currently seeing. You must not engage in any assaultive, abusive, threatening, or intimidating behavior. No contact with anyone you know to have a felony record. You can't possess a weapon while you're on probation. You must comply with the written and verbal orders of your agent. Let the agent into your home at any time and submit to a search of your person or property without need of a warrant and report any changes to your agent within 24 hours. Mr. Andrus, you have the right to file an application for leave to appeal your conviction and your sentence in this matter. You're entitled to an attorney at public expense to assist you in doing that. And if you're making a request for one, you have to make it within 42 days of today's date. There is a form that you use to do that. We will mail it to you. It's called appellate rights, so you'll see it when you get it. And the other thing I'll need you to do is check in with the probation department in the next 24 hours. So you can give them a call at 483-6100. Ms. Vinsky can direct you correctly on how to do that, but you'll need to do that so that they can touch base with you, get you going on probation, go over all your conditions again. Okay, do you have any questions before we go?
No, I do not.
Okay, you're all set. Good luck.